This meeting is being recorded.
Greetings. I'm here. I didn't know you was gonna start early.
Start early?
Yeah, I thought I just heard that the meeting is going.
Well, yeah, it's 10 after.
Yeah.
You okay? I was supposed to wait till 15 after.
Oh well, you know, normally that's what we was doing.
We had it. Well, everybody. We had like, I mean, it's not a big group, but everybody joined pretty much around 5.
Oh, okay, cool.
Y'all been in here for a few minutes.
Okay, great.
Did you want me to wait, or you want me to go ahead and start?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Tonight is May 25th, 2028. 2023. It's 5:12 p.m. And this is the UNIA-ACL Division 421, the Dr. Julius Nyeri CBPM mass meeting for the month of May, the second mass meeting for the month of May. So Tania, would you happen to have the ground rules, or could you have those ready? We'll read those in a minute. I'll do roll call and then we'll come back to ground rules.
Okay.
So yeah, first thing we'll do roll call briefly. And I'll lead with our officers. These are not going to, they are the most important when it comes to accountability and responsibility. It's the officers that hold the most of that. So you have myself, Brother John, member number 306 as president. You have member number 165, our legal defense committee coordinator, Attorney Imhotep. You have member number 390, our first male vice president, Brother Macias, and member number 172, I believe. No, you 177. Our second lady vice president, Sister Tania, representing for our executive council. As well as that, we have member number 172, Dr. Shams out of Brooklyn, New York. We have member number 499, Brother Art out of Annandale, Virginia. And we have our brother number 406, member number 406, Brother Kyle out of Colorado. So we have 7 on the call currently. Stop it here. All right. 7 on the call, and first thing that we do in all of our UNIA meetings to officially open up our meetings is we do the pledge to the red, black, and green flag. Please try to say it with me, not call and response, but say it with me if you can. I commit my body,
mind, and spirit
to the protection,
defense, security
of the red,
black,
and
green.
I dedicate
my life
to the redemption
of Mother Africa
and the liberation of her
scattered black children.
I accept
for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism.
And I promise
that our children will be instilled
with the
purpose and knowledge of themselves
African
as African people.
In order
that the cause of our struggle
will neither
falter nor fail
until
all black people are free and united
through one God,
one aim, and one destiny.
Race first.
Race first.
Thank you.
So our agenda for tonight, Sister Tania, I know I give you a heads up, but we're gonna focus on African Liberation Day. I have a small video. Well, it's not small. It's actually a 30-minute video on African Liberation Day. But where we are in the calendar year, I feel that's an important focus topic for us to touch on today.
Okay.
So we just went through our roll call. We showed our members. Next thing that I wanted to do from an official standpoint is read the preamble of the UNIA Constitution. So with that, I will just read the preamble as a standing portion of our meetings. The UNIA-ACL Constitution Preamble states the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world, and the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. So that is our preamble. Next thing that I had from an agenda standpoint is the minutes from our previous mass meeting on the 14th. Some of the things that we talked about on that meeting were the roles and responsibilities of our officers. And I think that's going to become even more critical, especially right now. Elections are coming up. We're supposed to do elections, I believe, at the end of June. So I think it's the 26th of June. I'm pretty sure that's when we normally do the elections. Am I right, Sister Tania, or is it July?
I think July.
July, end of July?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So we will prepare for elections at the end of July. You sure? Because that's real close to Garvey Day, and we got to be planning and stuff for Garvey Day. But
I don't know either one. I just know like the results was known by July.
All right. I'm gonna still say elections at the end of June, fourth mass meeting, not fourth mass meeting, second mass meeting, and the fourth Sunday of the month of June. I'll go ahead and put that on our calendar. Where did I put that calendar? Oh, yeah, I already did it. Matter of fact, that's the 25th of June. We're probably gonna have elections. So the 11th of June, next mass meeting, we probably need to have some type of focus on candidates and just making sure that our electing body, our mass meeting members are aware of who these people are and what offices they're planning to hold. We haven't really had a lot of competition to where multiple people have been trying to get the same position. So it's been a kind of straightforward, this is the person that wants the position. If there's not any opposition, this person will be holding the position. So we'll need to have a brief introduction next week on those that are planning to either run for office, keep their office, or if, people want to step down or move to the side, we can discuss that next meeting as well. Questions, comments on elections? It's pretty important. Okay. So we're still talking about minutes from the previous meeting. We talked about some of our business programs that First Vice President is leading. We were supposed to have a business meeting this past week. We weren't able to get together. So we got to reschedule that, but we will be continuing to hold our business meetings. First Vice President, did you want to say anything in regards to business programs?
Yeah. Definitely, well, greetings everybody.
Brother Mason, you there? Oh, he dropped out. Okay, he dropped out. So we'll come back to that. But we're constantly discussing some business ideas, how to expand as well as incorporate things that we're already doing in the community, bringing those together and somewhat more organized. We also touched on some youth programs. We're looking at trying to do a weekend reading program. We need to start that ASAP. Our second Vice President, Brother Kimwardo, is adamant about starting that soon. Brother James, our youth committee coordinator, is also supporting that. No official date on that. Again, that was something that we discussed after our business meetings, is our youth programs, but we didn't have that meeting this week. So more updates on that to come in the future, and those that would like to support with that, please let me know as soon as possible. We also talked about the African Legion a little bit. Brother Macy, I see you back on. Give me 1 second. Let me just wrap up my portion. I'll throw it back to you. We talked about the African Legion briefly. We were actually in the, let me see, this okay. We were in the middle of African Legion planning at that time. So we're in the month of May. We had our meeting on the 14th, and we didn't have our Legion meeting until the 19th. So during our last meeting, I didn't have anything to provide. After being in the meeting, I want to say most of it was, as far as what we can discuss, most of it was talking about uniforms. And I'm working with Baba James, our colonel, local colonel, to get our local uniforms and put our own stamp on the uniforms. Baba James, you there? Did you want to mention anything on the uniforms? I know I wasn't able to make it to see you. What was that, Saturday? But it was yesterday. It's a lot going on. Baba James, anything you want to say about the uniforms?
Yeah, race first. We have forward momentum on the uniform procurement. We start with Taylor, that looks like us, that's part of our Pan-African movement, at Saturday at the Kumba, sewing and tailoring, and decided on a uniform. We're currently waiting on our price for what those uniforms are going to cost. We need to find out how we're going to fundraise to afford the uniforms, in addition to how many uniforms we need for our active members. So I could use an exact number of how many males we have in our current division, so that I can fundraise or come up with a fundraising opportunity for giving uniforms to all our brothers.
Excellent. I'm glad you brought that back up, because I had this slide in this presentation, and I didn't know what it was for. But I did look at our database. This needs to be updated. We got 2 new members over the weekend, 1 male, 1 female. But as of right now, we have 290 males and 160 females. I would say that breaks down to, maybe based on our membership and the age of our membership, I'm gonna say 200, a good 200 potential active participants in the Legion. And for those that are not aware, the Legion, so what Baba James is talking about as far as Legion is our defense of our community. And per the UNIA Constitution, all males that are members of the UNIA between the ages of 18 and 55 would be not active, but qualified candidates for the African Legion. So from our division standpoint, we have some elders, some youth, some that have actually transitioned at this point, which I need to update and remove that from our database. But I would say about 200 capable men that should be, uniformed and ready to be organized. Okay. So let me see. So that is African Legion. Also, another thing we touched on last week was UNIA orientation courses. I have to do a little bit. Well, right now I'm forwarding, and I don't think I did it this week, but I'm forwarding the UNIA orientation courses to our executive body only. We need to get someone in the position of corresponding secretary, but I'm not about to take on too much responsibility and try to do everything myself. But I am communicating these courses to our officers. These are UNIA orientation courses provided by the parent body. It's no official requirement for these courses right now, but it is an underlying expectation. There's two forms of training that we have right now that are official. One is the UNIA orientation course, which is open to all members. And the only other training course that we have is our officers training, Message to the People course of African philosophy. That's only open to officers. So for our general membership, a general orientation provided by the parent body, this is the time. They've just gone through the second week this past Sunday, but not Sunday, Saturday. It's Saturday evenings 8 to 10. Every Saturday for another 10 weeks, they'll be having this orientation. And again, this is the parent body. It's on Zoom. Parent body orientation is about 30 people that attend. So it's the general, the common orientation that all of our divisions will get. Locally in Division 421, we will still need to provide a focused orientation in regards to the founding of our division, the naming of our division, our leadership, things like that. That's local, that's more focused, but that's not the parent body's responsibility. So this is the parent body orientation. This happens once, maybe twice a year. And it's going on right now. So any questions, comments on anything that I've given before I pass the mic to our first vice president? All right, brother.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Attorney Imhotep.
Yes, President John. I have to double check and see if the orientation class is just for officers. My thinking was it's for anyone that may be a previous full member and not so much a new member, even though new members would be welcome. The course is outstanding. I missed the first week and did attend this past Saturday, and I'm glad I did. And I'm going to make each and every additional class. It's very good, and I'm thinking it would be good if all members who want to attend should attend, and it's not so much just for the officers. but, and I'm going to double check that to make certain, but that was just my thoughts there.
Yes, sir. I may have misspoken, but I meant to clarify there are two different, what the word I used was trainings. So the orientation is open to all active members. No matter your status, as long as you're active dues paying member, the orientation is open to you, and I encourage you to pursue that. The other portion that I was speaking of was the Message to the People course of African philosophy. That has been deemed a training course that is only for our officers. In fact, there was a portion of Message to the People course of African philosophy that was included in the original syllabus for the current orientation, and it had to be removed for that specific reason. So I meant to clarify there's two different ones. One is for general membership, but one is only for officers, is what I was trying to say. The orientation that the parent body is offering right now is for all active members. Excuse me for that miscommunication, if so. Any other questions on that? Brother Macias, are you there? First Vice President.
Greetings, family.
Would you be able to give us an update on? I know we didn't have a meeting this week on our business committee, but is there anything that you'd like to update the family with from your perspective?
Well, again, family, race first. Greetings to everyone. As far as business and economic development, we have been working pretty much behind the scenes. Since HEC, our goal is to really put a foundation for our economy in place. I've been working on a lot of things for quite some time, and one of the major things that I've been working on is a bank for our people, for us as a UNIA. Specifically, to have in an HEC, we did have a verbal commitment from our President General and First Assistant President General to invest in a bank for the UNIA. With the central a bank in place for our people, in order for us to have an economy, we have to have a tailored focus of where any funds that come into our community will go. And one of the major aspects for any economic system is labor and the development of assets. Every nation tracks their gross domestic product. It's what do we produce collectively as an organization. And we, as a UNIA, we have to take ownership of tracking that for Black people. President Clyde this week talked to a brother with an organization called Tag Team Marketing, who has already pretty much created a database of Black-owned businesses. And Brother Nathaniel Turner, I know you talked to him, President John, before as well.
Yes.
So I know this week President Clyde we had a conversation with him. So we are putting in different institutions to be able to produce assets for our people, produce products that will be able to leverage and create a equitable value that we can leverage for our people to be able to say we produce these amount of products and collectively. So we talked about a few different institutions on our previous call, one a staffing agency, and also introduced a community apprenticeship network as well. With that apprenticeship network and staffing agency, that gives us the manpower to be able to produce all those assets that we need to be able to produce and make commitments to produce that. produce those assets. I'll try to be real brief here. Whenever you have a bank period and money comes into existence, it comes into existence into a community based off of the business owner's commitment to produce assets with those funds coming in. And a lot of times with that commitment, it's a commitment to have labor and create jobs for members. We have to really take ownership of creating jobs in our community. So that's on a micro cosmic level, but on the macro cosmic level, one of the things we talked about as well was figuring out what assets we have right now in front of us, what small tangible things that we can do right now that we can put some people towards the work in doing right now. And some of those ideas was just simply putting together t-shirts, the Black government IDs that we have as well. These are small things that we're focused on where we can, we already have in-house products that we can focus on right now, so getting those out. But then the second step after those in-house products is to partner with other organizations who have products as well that we can put our manpower behind. Because as a UNIA, that's what we have to bring to the table is our manpower, our membership, and our ability to be able to assist businesses that are already existing and create new businesses. So with our bank and us focusing on that, gives us the ability to invest in new businesses. And also we can already invest our time and energy into existing businesses in our community, as long as we structure a way for those businesses to give back to the community in a structured way. There's so many Black-owned businesses right now. As a UNIA, we can put together an infrastructure to where not only do we have Black-owned businesses, are we supporting Black-owned businesses, but they can in turn turn right back around and support us. That's what the African Communities League was about when Garvey started it. He talked about in the 5-year plan about us creating a fund to be able to invest in all the many endeavors that we want to have. Creating a bank kind of sets that up. But then we have to create a way where, as we do build businesses, that we are able to lend our support to them. So we are still ironing out the totality of the foundation on how we want to create our economic structure, and definitely looking forward to rolling that out to the membership where we can see all these many ideas come together to be able to create a system that offers us a long-term vision of generational wealth down the line. Because we definitely want to create jobs, but we want to create opportunities for the future for our next generation. And those are some things that we're working on with all the different pieces as we bring it together. With the other organization that I mentioned earlier, they have a lot of things. They started Garvey Nation. So it was imperative that we meet with them ASAP as they're trying to make that, they're making that step. But it will be a good partnership for us to be able to partner with the already structured thing that's already there and utilize their programs and platforms. So we're just bringing a lot of things together, a lot of different institutional foundational pieces, focused on the youth, focusing on business, focusing on job creation and asset creation, product creation for our community, so that what we work for is the access to the products, and the dollar is a gatekeeper to all the products that we want to actually have. So if we come together and position ourselves to make products, then we're able to strengthen our quality of life by being able to provide for ourselves and that self-reliance that Garvey calls for us to have as a government. It's imperative that we create a system that will produce that self-reliance, and we don't have to wait for anyone else to be able to produce assets for us. So I'm excited about everything coming together, and look forward to rolling it out to the membership in a complete package. We'll definitely be here to answer any questions the members share. If I'd like to ask any then, but I'll be here.
Race first. Thank you, First Vice President. Well, did anyone have any questions before we, get too far along? Did anyone have any questions on the business coordinator?
Questions
Race
or
first,
comments?
Race first.
this is Baba James.
Baba James.
I was curious as to what momentum or thoughts given to how the UNIA Bank will be back. What will it be back by?
For me personally, labor is what backs every banking system, truly, because right now the fiat currency is based off of our faith in it, and the faith that we can produce assets. I mean, that's me personally. That hasn't been ironed out. That's not nothing. There's nothing official on that banking. But as far as me personally, what I suggest, and that's why the focus is on labor and the products that we produce collectively. But as of right now, every other banking institution is just secured by our faith in that system will be able to help us exchange for the assets that we need that somebody else is producing. So as we create a system where we are producing all things for ourselves, then that should be an incentive for us to support our banks, because our banks are supporting the production of goods and services that directs right along with our daily lives every day. So as we focus on committing ourselves to produce those together, then that should be the strength of our bank and what will help us stand apart from any other bank.
Baba James, that answer your question?
Yes, for the most part. Race first. Good, thanks.
Yeah, but again, none of that's official. That's just what I would, if my consultation, and studying, but we haven't necessarily ironed out that with the parent body and the banking committee.
I do have another question.
Go ahead.
How feasible is it for us to, as a division, create an African Communities League, which lists services and research opportunities for our membership directly?
When you say feasible, what do you mean by that?
Could we create an ACL .org for 501c3 for the purpose of fundraising and profit? And in turn, advertising our current services and a business that we, as members, individually contribute to the community?
All right. To try to answer that question clearly, when it comes to feasibility, it's like how much of an investment that's going to take. But sometimes that investment is not cash; it's just about manpower and just ability to be able to do it. So when we think, it's definitely just pretty much easy to do when we think about that. The effectiveness is what of doing that is what I would immediately think about. As far as a division doing it, us personally, for me, I feel like as 421, we definitely have a responsibility to Atlanta. But as the UNIA, we have a responsibility to every Black person around the world. So when I think about setting anything up personally, I feel like that big responsibility can be achieved if we do it right, especially when we're talking about something like the African Communities League, which is what is a part of every division should have. So for me, the focus of setting up the African Communities League should be to set it up where it is an international thing and we have a systematic process to help each division set it up. And as far as 421 is concerned, I feel like we can come up with the process of how to get it done, but the ultimate goal should be for it to be rolled out for every division, but more importantly, for us to have the international wing of the African Communities League set up first, so that we could focus on our responsibility for all Black people. And I feel like with that focus, it'll help 421's ACL even grow faster with us promoting that focus, that this is for everybody across the globe. And the last part of your question, as far as a marketplace to be able to have the businesses and resources, we did talk about on the call, Garvey Ice Worldwide being the platform that we could be able to do that on as well. We definitely know that we have that resource there and the ability to do that and make that a hub where people can get the resources that they need, and also find those businesses that are offering those services that they need to have their quality of life. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did, brother. Race first.
Yeah, Baba James, you've been a part of this business committee since day one. We try to hold our meetings Thursday evening, I think at 8 p.m. Is that right? Or is it 7
Yep.
p.m.?
It's about 7:30, 8 p.m.
Yeah, about 7:30. So I didn't send out the invitation this past week, but we plan to continue that. We need to continue that on a regular basis, starting this coming Thursday.
Meeting this Thursday.
Does that work for you, Baba James?
I will make it work.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other questions on the minutes from our previous meeting? That took us almost an hour by itself. Okay. Well, one thing, yeah, before I go into one thing I wanted to touch on, I just felt like it was in the spirit. I don't need this, delete this column. In regards to our commitment to, cooperative economics, we do want to do it internationally and globally, but we also have to set the example locally. And I don't know if everybody can read this, but these are our current active dues paying members for the month of May. It's just the month of May. You may have been active on the month of April, but that could have expired in the month of April. But I just want to encourage everybody on the call, please pay your dues, try to pay them in advance as well. So months in advance. But yeah, I want everybody to look for their name. If they don't see their name wants to be here, make sure we do the right things to make that happen. If you feel your name should be here and I missed something, please let me know. That could be the case as well. But
yeah, President John, see, mine definitely paid for the year, I believe, in August.
In August?
Yeah, sent the Cashapp through. I'm gonna have to go ahead and express it. Yes, sir.
Right. I think that may use that. That sounds familiar. I remember HEC you paid for a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Last HEC you gave me you paid for a year, but that went out.
Okay, it's time for me to send the other Cashapp in again. All right.
Let me confirm. I'll let you know if I got it. Thank you, Brother Macias. But that's what it's about. My job as president is to have some form of transparency as well as accountability. These are not my funds. These are the division's funds. These are the individuals that are contributing those funds. So you know, when it comes time to know how much we have, and how much has been given, I have to be able to give that report, and I need our membership and our executive body to hold us accountable. All right. So that's all I got for that. Topic for tonight is African Liberation Day. We've been participating in some events and some gatherings over this week. Even, you know, right after Malcolm X Day. Malcolm X Day was his birthday was the 19th. So last weekend we celebrated Malcolm X Day here in Atlanta, but tonight I wanted to focus on African Liberation Day specifically. For those that are not aware, I wanted to give some background of what African Liberation Day is. And then go into some of the things that we did locally here in the city. So this comes from All African People's Revolutionary Party, a Black source, obviously. It says African Liberation Day, also known as ALD, was founded in 1958 by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah on the occasion of the first conference of independent states held in Accra, Ghana, and attended by 8 independent African states. The 15th of April was declared African Freedom Day to mark each year on the onward progress of the liberation movement and to symbolize the determination of the people of Africa to free themselves from foreign domination and exploitation. Between 1958 and 1963, the nation-class struggle intensified in Africa and the world. 17 countries in Africa won their independence, and 1960 was proclaimed the Year of Africa. Further advances were made in the defeat of U.S. imperialism in Asia and the Caribbean. Imperialism responded to this tide of victories by assassinating revolutionary leaders and sending U.S. troops to Vietnam on the 25th of May, 1963. 31 African heads of state convened a summit meeting to found the Organization of African Unity, OAU. They renamed Africa Freedom Day, African Liberation Day, and changed its date to May 25th. Today, African Liberation Day is a permanent mass institution in the worldwide Pan-African movement. As an institution, it is stronger today because the masses of African people are stronger, and ALD is their day. As a day of work in the area of political education and organization, it reflects the fact that we have not obtained our freedom, and thus it is a day to reaffirm our commitment to Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. At ALD, we also deepen our understanding of other just struggles and affirmed our role in the world socialist revolution. ALD has but one direction: forward to a unified socialist Africa. It is growing as the level of awareness about Pan-Africanism and the primacy of Africa grows. It is growing as progressive and revolutionary organizations grow. And lastly, it is growing as the masses make increasing victories against capitalism, neo-capitalism, racism, and Zionism. So that is from the All African People's Revolutionary Party, their take on African Liberation Day. Another perspective that I wanted to share came from, please excuse this picture. I don't really understand this picture, but it came from Imamu Amiri Baraka, 1972. And I'm going to show a video after this reading of 1972 African Liberation Day in Washington, DC. But one of the things that comes to my mind is history and the importance of history, as Marcus Garvey teaches us. And as I've learned from one of my favorite quotes from Malcolm X, history is the subject best qualified and most attractive to reward all research. When I look at what our brothers and sisters are doing, specifically in the United States, to honor African Liberation Day, it sounds a lot and it looks a lot like the UNIA in 1920. There's a convening of several hundreds of thousands, well, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of our people to make a public declaration to state that the conditions of their people locally and globally are unjust, and they feel that they themselves can do better. And they make this claim under what I see as the banner of the red, black, and green flag. But this is happening in 1972. And some people are of the opinion that we've never done this before. You know, it's new, but as Garvey also teaches, there's nothing new, or as African philosophy teaches us, there's nothing new under the sun. So Amiri Baraka, he was a leader in the 1972 African Liberation Day, which is the video that we're going to watch in a second. But I wanted to read some of his writings that led up to the organization on that day in 1972. What he says is, should African Liberation Day be a celebration or mourning? Since the first African Liberation Day celebrations were held in Washington, Toronto, and Washington, DC, May 27, 1972, most of the African continent broke from colonial rule and became politically independent. But the enemies of African people launched a counter-revolutionary war against self-determination immediately after independence. African sovereignty came under attack from a vindictive neocolonialism that would later be intensified by neoliberalism. This neocolonialism would not be successful, however, if not for the actions of a veritable minstrel show of Black compradors, sellouts, spooks, reformists, reactionaries, puppets, poodles, and misleaders on the continent and throughout the African diaspora. Indeed, the current overseer of U.S. imperial policy is a phenotypically Black man, Lloyd Austin III, a former Raytheon executive who, as the United States Secretary of State, has extended and entrenched the Yankee forever wars on behalf of his former employee and the U.S. military state. While Austin recently requested the deployment of U.S. troops to Somalia, AFRICOM, soon to be under the leadership of another Black comprador, Lieutenant General Michael Langley, has resumed its drone strikes, assassinating some 60 people in the village of Fidal on February 22nd, 22. What in the world? That don't make no sense. At the same time, and in throwback to the Cold War, Gregory Meeks, Black Democratic congressman and chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, has introduced a bill directing the Secretary of State to develop and submit to Congress a strategy and implementation plan outlining United States efforts to counter the malign influence and activities of Russian federations and its proxies in Africa and for other purposes. As a result, in the years and perhaps months to come, Africa will see an increase in U.S. military action. And of course, Linda Thomas Greenfield, a Black woman and U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, stands at her imperial pulpit ready to bully African nations to the will of the U.S. In this light, it is worth revisiting Imamu Baraka's, okay, so we haven't gotten there yet, May 1st, 1972, communique on African Liberation Day, published in the Brooklyn Journal Black News. Baraka reminds us that America is one of the chief oppressors of the Africans in the world. And the way to fight for African liberation is for Africans globally to unify through the political consciousness of Pan-Africanism. At its core, African Liberation Day fuses Pan-Africanism with anti-imperialism, and anti-imperialism by necessity involves a critique of U.S. corporate power and foreign policy. It was for this reason that the 1972 African Liberation Day March in DC targeted the State Department among other locations. Moreover, Baraka castigated the Black people in the Imperial Corps for furthering imperial policy and neo-colonial rule. Here, Baraka singles out Roy Jenkins, whom he describes as the puppet head of the NAACP. Baraka's communique, reproduced below, should compel all of us living through this moment of increased Black participation in the U.S. imperial project to register our absolute shock and anger at the pathology and traitor mentality shown by the likes of Meeks, Thomas Greenfield, Austin, Langley, and many other Black men of Africa and the African people. Okay, it's not that long. Okay. African Liberation Day by Imamu Baraka. On Saturday, January 27th, thousands of Black people from all over the country will converge on Washington, DC to demonstrate our support for African Liberation Day. Ordinarily, African Liberation Day is recognized and celebrated each May 25th throughout the African world, but this year, because of the increasing severity of the confrontations encountered by Africans all over the world and our efforts to survive and develop, it was decided that this year's African Liberation Day program ought to include some dramatic manifestation not only of the African in America's consciousness of Pan-Africanism, but also specifically there ought to be some graphic demonstration of support of the struggles of our brothers and sisters on the continent. In their thrust for self-determination, particularly in support of the liberation struggles in South Africa and Guinea-Bissau, where armed struggle rages this very moment, to rid the African continent of the most blatant examples of European colonialism. The members of the African Liberation Day Mobilization Steering Conference and some of the other names you can recognize on the release felt that it is essential to the movement for the total African liberation and self-determination that Africans living in the Western Hemisphere, since brothers and sisters from West Indies and Canada will also be taking part in the Washington tactic, begin to very openly and dramatically support these struggles on the African continent, because reality teaches us that they are part and parcel of our struggles here in the West. Because at the base, the enemies of Africans in Africa are the same people who viciously repress Black people all over the world. African Liberation Day committees have been formed in most of the 50 states, the West Indies, and Canada, who will coordinate the movement of Black people into Washington to march in support of African liberation, and also to reveal to the world that Black people are beginning to understand internationally who the enemies of Black people are. We will demonstrate in front of the Portuguese embassy because of the Portuguese continuing Nazi repression campaigns and colonialism in Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, in front of the Rhodesian information offices because of their continued illegality of the Rhodesian white settled minority regime, which, as in distance of all the forces of reason, disregarded the needs of the African majority in Zimbabwe, in front of the South African embassy because the white settler minority government, which rules Africans in Azania, is in clear violation of the human rights and the clearest example of Nazism in the world today. We also take the opportunity today to register our absolute shock and anger at the pathology and traitor mentality shown by Roy Wilkins, puppet head of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored Peoples. His statement yesterday in Azania gave real solace to the enemies of Black people all over the world. His open support for the financiers of African slavery and oppression in South Africa mark him in open conflict with the majority of the Black world. We beg his own so-called constituency within the National Association to condemn and disassociate themselves from Wilkins' criminally irresponsible statements of support for colonialism. It is time the responsible Black people within the NAACP show Wilkins no longer represents the thinking of the majority of Black people. It is to register the overwhelming opposition of Black people in the world to catatonic statements like Wilkins's that the steering committee of the African Liberation Day are Black people bring Black people to Washington, DC, not only to show our absolute commitment to the struggles of Africans, but by marching in the seat of power of the United States to demonstrate as well Black people's disgust with the American foreign policy towards Africa. This policy showed itself most clearly last week in the movement of Rhodesian crime or into United States, violating sanctions the United States placed on the illegal minority white settler government in efforts to get this illegal government to recognize the rights of the African majority in Zimbabwe. The United States, through the machinations of Harry Byrd and the lobbying of Foot Minerals Company and Union Carbide, have begun to import this chrome ore, though we are asking Black people all over this country to challenge this racist move, just as the Black students in Louisiana did last week. In order for the Black majority on the continent of Africa to move swiftly toward complete liberation and self-determination, self-respect, self-reliance, and self-defense, it is absolutely necessary for Africans wherever we are to unify through the political consciousness called Pan-Africanism. Africa is one of the chief oppressors of Africans in the America is one of the chief oppressors of Africans in the world. The foreign policy of America will change toward Africa when Africans in and around America force that change through the rise of our political consciousness that we are also an African people by race, culture, history, politics, and emotion. The strengthening of Africa is the strengthening of ourselves. We are urging all Black people, all Africans in the Western Hemisphere to come together near the government of our worst enemies, but paradoxically, in a stronghold of Black life, Washington, DC, to move the struggle to yet higher levels. May 25th, the march will move from State Department via demonstrations at the various embassies, missions, and information centers towards Malcolm X Park. But this was the official communique from Imamu Baraka, one of the chief organizers of African Liberation Day in 1972. And again, this is just an evolution of African Liberation Day that was created by Kwame Nkrumah, which started out as what was African Freedom Day. Before we go to the video, anyone have any questions or comments?
They said May 27th down there, President General.
I think, no, this is the day of the march was May 27th.
No, the last thing you read at the bottom.
Let me see.
Right there, it said May 27th. You said May 25th. I'm just...
The move struggle yet higher. May 25th, the march will move from State Department via demonstrators. That was the march.
It said May 27th on the screen. On my screen, it said May 27th.
It's a little ordinarily African Liberation Day is recognized and celebrated each May 25th throughout the African world. But it's just like we did for us. I think the 25th was on a Thursday. So that is the official day of African Liberation Day. But the weekend didn't come until 26th. So we ended up having or it was 27th. So we had our
okay, gotcha.
on the 27th. But the official day of African Liberation Day is the 25th. It started out as the 15th, but they moved it to the 25th after something happened in Vietnam. So, any other questions, comments? Sharing the right thing. No comments, no questions. Oh, I do need to say one thing or do one thing. I hope this works. I don't know if it will, because I think you got to show this while the video was showing. But we had some issues like sharing videos and things on our videos and then trying to save them to YouTube. But copyright fair use, under the fair use doctrine of the United States copyright statute, it is permissible to use limited portions of her work, including quotes for purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, and scholarly reports. So that is what we are claiming. Leave. If I don't get it wrong, I will update it next time. Without further ado,
Africa is gonna win! Africa is gonna win! Long live People's War! Long live People's War! People's War is...
sorry. If you can't see the title up top, this is African Liberation Day in Washington, DC, 1972. And that's why I read the comments from Imamu Baraka. He was one of the chief organizers of this event.
Gonna win! People's War is gonna win!
African Liberation Day, which is traditionally celebrated throughout the African world each May 25th, was the occasion this year for the largest all-black assembly ever held in Washington, D.C. More than 30,000 blacks, representing a wide cross-section of political ideologies, gathered at the culmination of a two-day conference on Africa. The underlying themes behind the conference and march were to heighten the awareness of blacks in this country to the plight of our brothers and sisters in Africa, to create some ongoing organization that would actively aid black freedom fighters in those African countries still under white colonial rule, to begin to link our future as a self-determined, free people with that of Africans, and to begin to act as a unified body of blacks who will influence U.S. policy towards Africa. The marchers demonstrated in front of the Portuguese embassy as a protest against that government's colonial domination of Angola, Guinea-Bissau, and Mozambique. In front of the South African embassy and the Rhodesian Information Center, because of their racist minority regimes which rule over the black majority population. And here, in front of the U.S. State Department, to protest this country's trade agreements with South Africa and importation of Rhodesian chrome ore, despite a United Nations embargo against it. In spite of this demonstration, a week later, the U.S. Senate upheld the right of America to continue to import Rhodesian chrome ore. It defeated the McGee Anti-Rhodesia Amendment. The demonstrators then congregated at the Washington Monument, renamed Lumumba Square.
As Malcolm said, we must not be content letting backward Negro politicians decide our fate and sell us out. We must do battle with them. We must do battle with them. We must do battle with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party or any other white parties that try to claim black loyalty or represent black leadership. And we must put together a nationalist party, a Pan-Africanist party. What the National Black Political Convention tried to do in Gary was to set out on the course toward creating a political structure that has a black value system, a political structure that can move the masses of the people, a political structure that understands Pan-Africanism and the struggle all over the world to unify African people and to liberate the continent of Africa and to create self-determination for African people wherever they are. I think that today proves, first of all, that those of us who are talking about nationalism and talking about Pan-Africanism, that there is a constituency for that. There are over 25,000 people here in Washington today talking about nationalism and Pan-Africanism, talking about African liberation. So the next time anybody wants to tell you that you don't have a constituency or ideology is in the minority, point out the fact of the 25,000 or 30,000 people who came to Washington, DC today to celebrate African Liberation Day, to support African liberation.
The architect of the concept, unity without uniformity, Imamu Baraka, is also head of the Committee for a Unified Newark and was a co-chairman of the recent Black Political Convention. He has evolved as a leading spokesman for Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism.
As we have marched today, we have opened the collective floodgates of memory and traveled back over the centuries to those days when they brought our slave forebearers in chains to the west coast of Africa, chained one to another, each beside one of another tribe, so that they could not understand one another's language. We remembered as we walked today how they led our ancestors into the deep, heavy darkness of the foul-smelling holds of the slave ships. How as they made their 3-month journey across the Atlantic, seeing nothing but darkness, hearing nothing but the groans and moans of their compatriots in suffering, and smelling nothing but the stench of their dead and dying comrades and the stench of their own defecation. As we marched, we cried out, "Oh, our fathers, what was it like to be stripped of all supports of life, save the beating of the heart and the ebb and flow of fetid air in the lungs? What was it like as you were stood on auction blocks and sold down the river to the highest bidder? Mothers separated from their children, fathers from their sons, brothers from their sisters, never to see one another again." We remembered all of that, and we have decided to answer the call of our ancestors and the call of our black brothers in Africa. And for that historic occasion, certainly we are all thankful.
Guinea is gonna win! Long live Angola! Long live Angola! Angola is gonna win! Angola is gonna win! Long live Mozambique! Long live Mozambique! Mozambique is gonna win! Mozambique is gonna win! Long live Africa! Long live Africa! Africa is gonna win! Africa is gonna win! Long live People's War! Long live People's War! People's War is gonna win! People's War is gonna win! Long live Africa! Long live Africa! Africa must unite! 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 Down with white racism! 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 Africa shall triumph! Africa shall triumph!
Pull the fight together, Guinea. We with you, Southern Sudan. Fight on, running wires, Mozambique. Jump quick, lightning, Felinzi. Teach Nyeri. Watch our backs, our CG4. Guide our future, Lumumba. Describe our enemies, Garvey. We're coming, Touré. Coming, Punchy. Going to surprise the world, surprise our fathers, Malcolm. We have more than Mark, more than fast talk, more than Harvard rhetoric. We are coming. We are what we are. We are what we are not. We are what we are going to be, coming. Coming, rise, rising to the higher beat of African rhythm. Coming, dancing hard, making sense. Remembering Sharpeville, remembering Orangeburg. Coming, remembering yesterday's planet. Rising out of the earth fast. Challenging new thoughts, challenging concepts of the gods. Coming, elevator up, Juju. Black world vibrations beat into each other. Coming, rise through visions of African love. Rise, coming feet, get back negative. We come and shine, fighting through space, sun. Sun is sliding closer to the expected. Coming nationalists, coming Christian, coming Muslims. Coming, rise, ancient black spirit. Coming, rise, boo-boo, rise, brothers, rise, sisters, rise, people of the summer. We are coming, come in. We are here quick, gathered to save the future for our children.
Let's have it for him. God lead. All right.
The spirit of the march and rally was one of the unique elements. Unlike most rallies of a political nature, camaraderie and self-expression were a major component. Each marcher, so to speak, did his own thing, but all in the context of a black tradition. Variations of the Black Power salute frequently ended in black embrace. Speeches followed marches, and marches followed drumming, singing, and dancing.
And when we were in the People's Republic of China, we had the fortune to meet with the president of Frelimo, the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique, with President Carlos Machel. And I want to tell you in a few words that they're really taking care of business in Mozambique. And I guess I don't have to tell you that they're taking care of business in Guinea-Bissau. As a matter of fact, our people are struggling to liberate our motherland. We know that the Vietnamese people are struggling to liberate their territory. And there's a very significant thing that has taken place in the last few hours in the history of the world, because they have made a pact. And do you know who they are? We talk about Kosygin and Brezhnev and Bergogne and Nixon. Yesterday they were enemies, and today they made a pact. So the enemy is uniting. And so are we, brother, that's right. And this is what is beautiful, that we are uniting here today, that we put aside many petty and small differences, because the hour is too late, and the time is too desperate for us to be talking about the small differences. The people of the black and the third world must unite against the common enemy, because the common enemy is definitely uniting against us. I don't have any words that I could tell you, because we've told each other something. The thing to do is to go beyond today and to deal with tomorrow and tomorrow, to liberate this territory, to talk about liberating the United States of America, so that if we want to go to the motherland, they're liberating territory right now, and we can go there. And when they want to come here, we can say, we have a place prepared for you. I have no message other than to say that this is a very beautiful thing, that it shows that we do love each other, and that the basis for our struggle is love, and that when we can get rid of the bombs, and when we can get rid of the guns, then we can all sit down and relax completely. We have a slogan in the Black Panther Party. We say that we are the advocates of the abolition of war. But we know that in order to get rid of the gun, it is necessary to take up the gun. I will leave you now with all power to the people. All power to the people.
All Africa's children are nephews and our nieces. We are brothers and sisters, yes, we're African people.
Oh, yes.
You know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. You're in a war and you don't belong. Pack up your hard guns and come on home. Stop the fight of napalm. Stop the fight of napalm.
Malcolm also talked about human rights instead of civil rights. We watched Dr. King on television when we were in high school try to prove that America could be changed. Dr. King proved the inhumanity of America. We watched Dr. King get his head beat on television at the 6 o'clock news throughout my senior year in high school. We watched that every day, and it proved to us that while we must organize mass movements, and Dr. King organized 250,000 people to come to Washington, but we must understand that mass movements have their place in the struggle, that the movement of all black people together, and we must try to be that element. To briefly just go over some things so that some of you can use them and remember them. First of all, we at the beginning of the 70s and throughout the end of the 50s and through the 60s, we have had a great deal of ideology, but all that ideology has been focusing on one point, one movement, which is African liberation. From 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama, with Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks moving around desegregation, and the idea that black people must have access to all the facilities in America, all the facilities on the land that they inhabited, that we must have equal access. To 1957, the independence of Ghana and Kwame Nkrumah bringing Pan-Africanism into the world arena. 1957 also, Rob Williams in Monroe, North Carolina, who talked about armed self-defense and the Deacons for Self-Defense in Bogalusa, Louisiana. That was in 1957. That was Nkrumah and Robert Williams in the same year. Montgomery in 1955. The beginning of the 60s brought about Malik, Malcolm X, Brother Malcolm X, who said to us that we must follow revolutionary black nationalism. that we must try to unify all the different groups, that there was no one particular ideology that in and of itself would lead black people to liberation. Malcolm X said that we must try to see that all the different groups come together to work on whatever problems we can work on in common. And this finally, when it's brought to a national level, is called Pan-Africanism because it means African nations of different ideologies working together to liberate African people all over this planet.
Judge Alexander, what is your opinion of the event today, the African Liberation Day?
I think African Liberation Day is a very significant occasion. It's the kind of thing that people who are enslaved or in servitude or bondage or in colonialism ought to do all over the world. When riding along 16th Street today, as an example, I think it's significant. My 8-year-old daughter said, "Daddy, are all Jews from Soviet?" I said, "No, dear, but that's the way it is with the Jews. Their brothers in Russia are getting a hard time, and they over here in the United States, many thousands of miles away, want to see an end to it." I like to tie that in with African Liberation Day.
Normally, in a person's mind, a judge is a rather stiff person who wouldn't be at an African Liberation Day. Do you see the fact that you are a judge and participating in an event such as this nature indicates any basic change in Black America?
Well, I don't know. I think it's an individual thing. I think black judges are doing better every day. They formed an organization called the Judicial Council in the National Bar Association. Black judges should be leaders, and they should try to help people make the injustices to justice in this country a thing of the past. And they should try, however they can, to make equal justice under law a reality. I like to think coming out here with my family at least is an indication of how we feel about it.
This occasion is one of the most important occasions of African people at all time. Here in Washington, DC, symbol of where we were stolen, underneath a monument that is a symbol of stolen goods. The people have renamed it Lumumba Monument. Was named after the so-called father of this country, George Washington. As we look at it, we see that it is an obelisk from Egypt. This is symbolic of what has happened to us. 2 weeks ago, in Guinea, probably the greatest African funeral took place to a great African man, Kwame Nkrumah. And why do we say he was great? Because he, more than any other African leader, took the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, which this is a symbol of. When Marcus Garvey said, Africa for the Africans. As a matter of fact, Garvey said, "Mr. White Man, are you mad? Are you insane? Do you think you can rule the world on bluff?"
begin to practice Pan-Africanism in our own communities. We must work to unify all groups, but we must not be willing to accept traitors as part of our unity. We must be so unified that traitors cannot be traitors unless they sacrifice their lives. Malcolm X, the beginning of the 60s, talked about revolutionary black nationalism, the unity of groups. He talked about community control, that we must control the politics and the politicians in our community. That if we had backward niggers so-called leading us, then we were backward niggers for letting them continue to lead us without challenging them. That is what community control means. It means controlling everything. It means controlling the politics, controlling the community organizations, controlling the economics, controlling everything in the black community that is of any value. This is what Malcolm said at the beginning of the 60s. Malcolm also talked about Afro-Asian alliances, that we are not a minority, that we suffer because we have a minority mentality in America. We think we are a minority when we become part of America's domestic byproduct. But we are African people. We are African people. We make up one gigantic African nation across this world.
The African Liberation Day March was a phenomenal and historic occasion, the largest all-black march organized by blacks, held in Washington, D.C. The attendance was huge, in spite of the fact that it was largely ignored by the white press. What remains to be seen is if this was just another march, after which everything returns to the status quo, or if the march can influence America's foreign policy towards Africa. Major participants agreed that the difference between the civil rights movement and the liberation struggle will be the degree to which black people can unify and, most importantly, act.
This is Democracy Now!, Democracy Now!
Sorry about that. So that completes the presentation in regards to African Liberation Day. I did want to open the floor for any questions or comments on African Liberation Day.
I got a question, Brother John. I know we were at the African Liberation Day celebration on Saturday. I didn't get to make it. What was covered, I guess, as far as the UNIA was involved?
Great question, Brother James. Hold that for 1 second. I'll touch on that in a moment. So for now, I just wanted to kind of touch on the history and the legacy of African Liberation Day. But as far as what we did this weekend, I will share that in just a moment. Anyone, any thoughts on anything that we read or just watched or heard?
Yes, President Brother John, where can I see this video again? How can I watch that? Excellent question. I'm glad you asked.
So I had it on YouTube. Man, how do I make this?
.org, the War and Peace Report.
So
Africa is gonna win.
I searched African, it should have been Liberation Day. African Liberation Day, 1972. And it's the one with Sister Elaine Brown first, 27 minutes. I watched this one as well, Hezekiah News. It's just as good. But there's a few documentaries, I guess, that have been produced from the 1972 African Liberation Day, and African Liberation Day 1972 on YouTube is how I found the video that we were watching. Anyone else?
Thank you, Brother John.
Thank you, Sister Aziza.
Race first.
Race first. Okay. Okay. Well, if there wasn't anything else, we will proceed. We'll go to member share in just a moment. Let me touch on the question that Brother James had asked in regards to UNIA Division 421's input into African Liberation Day this year. So we are here in Atlanta. There has been organizing around African Liberation Day here in Atlanta for at least a decade. I can't say that we as the UNIA started that organizing, but we did become a part of it in the process. And since we have become a part of it, we have continued to support the event of African Liberation Day, as well as the spirit of African Liberation Day of organizing other Pan-African organizations. So what Brother James was mentioning, this past Saturday, May 27th, yesterday actually, we celebrated African Liberation Day here in Atlanta. We celebrated at Beloved Community Church. For those that are aware of, the city of Atlanta and Pan-African groups, that is a Pan-African revolutionary church. We should know it. We should be supporting them. And that's part of what we were doing yesterday. But at any rate, for African Liberation Day, it was the UNIA-ACL, COSA, which is a group that supports Haiti, ASCAC, Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization, Friends of the Congo, organization out of Congo, AARP, All African People's Revolutionary Party, as well as CMB, Community Movement Builders. As far as our input, it's something that we've done continuously. It's a part of what this event is about, is a public display to the community, to show the community that these organizations are working together. We have the same goals, the same objectives, and we're not just talking about it. But one of the things that we wanted to make clear were the expectations of the organizations moving forward. And one of the things that we brought was a commitment of support for each of the organizations. So we had talked about what's going to happen throughout the summer. There are going to be some events. I can't remember exactly what's happening first, second, or third, but we'll know about it with some time. But the point is, we need to be coming together more often than just once a year. So anytime one of our organizations has an event, the other organizations should be there to support it. So for Marcus Garvey Day, we've got commitment from each of these organizations to us to support us, but it's about the development of programs. It's kind of difficult. It's very difficult, honestly, on this level, to continue to have meetings to get everybody at a time where they're available. We're talking about, organizers of organizations, so not just, our times are limited, and it can be very difficult for us to get together. So that's been a challenge, but it is a commitment that we made. And we raised a little bit of funds for the church. That's the best thing, one of the best things I could say. And as I said, we'll continue to work with, we have a committed relationship with each of these organizations. Any other questions?
Oh, I like to add in regards to our relationship to these organizations. We as UNIA members are members of some of those organizations as well as our following to the government.
Yes,
So,
the head of COSA, the head of, I don't have WADU in here. WADU, World African Diaspora Union. Both of those members are members of the UNIA. I believe Baba Oshi of ASCAC. I don't know if he is, but he's a supporter. But we as the UNIA, the members of these other organizations are also supporters of the UNIA. And we should be supporting them as well. Anything else on African Liberation Day before we move to member share?
I want to say that I went to the African Liberation Day yesterday, and I enjoyed the opportunity to hear a few people speak on how important it is for us to maintain our motivation to free our lands so that we can have a different future for our children. Race first.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's part of what African Liberation Day is. It's a continued vocal statement of support, and continued unity, a renewed commitment for each of these organizations. But that's part of what this is about. If there's nothing else on African Liberation Day, before we move to member share, did anyone want to share anything in regards to Malcolm X Day, which happened last weekend at West End Park? I went Saturday. I know Baba James had been there supporting for the division. Anybody have any comments, questions on Malcolm X Day?
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Yes, on my website, I have one of the most important speeches that Brother Al-Haj Malik Shabazz ever gave. It says, that's from I think it's 1962 or 69 or somewhere like that. But it's on my website, named as Malcolm X, also AKA Al-Haj Malik Shabazz. But I have a film. I think it's very in depth. It's supposed to be the full video film of a speech he gave in the Audubon Ballroom. This has nothing to do with the time that he was shot at anything. This had to happen way before or a little while before he was assassinated. But I have that if you want to look at it, along with quite a few other different things. Minister Farrakhan, Reverend Al Sharpton, I have a number of people that I put on my website, and I'm updating my site every day. Every day I find some new information that's helpful to us. I put it on the website. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Anyone else have any comments on Malcolm X Day?
Yes. Go ahead.
No, you first, Baba.
Okay, yes, President John, Aziza and I went Sunday, and I thought that there were quite a few vendors there, more so than I had seen in several years. And I'm looking forward to next year, the UNIA having a booth, and we can pay for the booth by I guess the leadership council contributing, so much individually to cover the cost. It's a good way to improve our membership, and we can have a lot of we can start planning now of having the material to sell, flags, the material that we are getting from this orientation session can be added. And I'm just looking forward to next year and planning now so that we can represent for Malcolm X Day. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. Excellent idea, excellent suggestion. We always talk about it, but we end up making ourselves a little bit too busy. One of Garvey's teachings is as you just said, he says, if you plan to be somewhere in December, then you should start making preparations for that in January. So you should, we should give ourselves a year in advance for everything that we do, or most of the things that we do. I agree with you 100%. The issue that we have is we try to be very active. So Malcolm X Day comes right after HEC, and usually HEC ends up taking the precedence for a lot of our planning and preparation. And then, I mean, if you even work your way back, Kwanzaa in December ends up taking a lot of focus and planning. And we all know about Marcus Garvey Day in August. That's also the time of convention. You're absolutely right. We have to find a way of making that work. And I also like your comment about the executives chipping in and making these things happen. I appreciate you saying that as one of our best representatives and supporters of the UNIA, through your actions, through your responsibility as Council General, as well as the sacrifices, as an active dues paying member for years. And anytime I make a request of our executive officers, Attorney Imhotep and Sister Aziza are always there. One of the things that I've tried to be cautious of, and maybe preemptively cautious, and it may be a fault, is I came across the concept of I don't want to go to the well too many times. So me relying on the executive officers bringing things forward, I want that to be a emergency situation, but I don't want that to be every time we have an event, the officers are expecting to come out of pocket. But so I just want you to be aware of the way I approach it. As I said, coming out of HEC, we do have a little bit of funds. We probably could have, gone through with a commitment for Malcolm X Day, but we're not stable yet, and we're not bringing in funds on a regular basis enough to where we can make those type of investments. Not yet. Those funds are probably going to help us towards Garvey Day, most likely. But I agree with you. we have time to prepare for next year. And based on the pricing, I really do think that we can make that investment next year for Malcolm X Day if things are consistent. Juneteenth is a little bit more than Malcolm X Day, and that we did that, and that kind of hurt us a little bit. And that's why I was hesitant this year. But Malcolm X Day next year, if the prices are the same, I think we can get an official table. Anyone, any of the officers have any thoughts on that right now?
Race First family, it's Baba James.
Baba James.
We as a division have always had space given to us by the Malcolm X Day Committee because we offered a commitment of participating with Launching the Rockets with the children. And we're missing that key component with the absence of Brother Ross Marvin. Mm-hmm. So this year we had our booth up. However, we didn't have all the tools that we needed to do the things that Ross Marvin was able to do for all those years that we participated in the event. So moving forward, I'm going to make a personal commitment to make sure that we have all the materials available to continue that tradition of launching the water bottle rockets with the children for Malcolm X Day for next year. I would encourage all of our membership to take an opportunity to know how they can invest with their time in being at the Malcolm X Fair that day to support and show support of just how we affect the Pan-African community here in Atlanta.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, a couple things like, well, one thing, the setup was a little bit different this year, to where they blocked off the street that was next to the baseball field where we set up. So I had to park actually down near the Omanala Griot. I mean, I know Baba James is there to help me unload and things like that, but it wasn't very feasible for me to have to bring as much stuff as I normally would. So I need some support at the end of the day. You know, Baba James is doing a great job, but as he said, you know, we need people to come out, but also have responsibilities when they come out. You know, bring, you know, yeah, we just need help. We don't have official setup committee anymore, so we just need help on all fronts. Any other questions?
Race First family, I don't have any questions though. I do want to make a comment.
Go ahead, Sister Ebony, for our Second Lady Vice President.
Race First family. This year was my second year attending the Malcolm X Festival, Malcolm X Day, and it's real kind of like liberating to go out there and actually socialize with vendors and their crafts and the things that they make that is to the culture. If you haven't been to it, you know, next year really put it on your calendar to attend, but you'll be able to network and socialize with people, you know, of our color, of our traditions, and to actually purchase things that you might not be able to get out of a regular store, you know, or from online or things of that nature. So being in the environment, last year I went alone, this year I went with my children, and I was glad that I brought my children this year because it was so many children out there. It was just such a, you know, unifying environment, you know, let alone not just, you know, buying things and just, you know, purchasing, you know, materials and stuff like that, but just to actually socialize and, you know, be a unity with your community. So I really enjoyed myself this year, and as well as last year at the Malcolm X Day, also at the Liberation Day. It was very, very well put together. I enjoyed it. I wasn't there long, but I took my children there as well, and they fell asleep, but it was very good, and I enjoyed. I enjoyed the speakers. I enjoyed the power that was in the church that the speakers brought. it just gets you real inspired, and it makes you real motivated to just keep going and just keep continuing the mission. So, I encourage each and every one of you to, participate more in these events and these things that our community has, because they're very powerful. They're very enlightening. You can gain a lot from just attending, just being there. Even if you, don't purchase anything, you just sit there, just be around in the energy, excuse me, you'll pick up something. You always get something that you need every time that you go. So, I enjoyed myself. My children, they enjoyed themselves. And I hope to see each and every one of you moving forward. So, race first.
Yes, ma'am. Race first. Thanks, Sister Ebony. But yeah, Malcolm X always has been a great event, always a well-attended event. I'll be honest, they do set an example for us when it comes to Garvey Day and how we can host Garvey Day and perform Garvey Day, so to speak, as well as Juneteenth. Both of those groups and organizations and events put a lot of pressure on us as Division 421 to make sure that we have a event and a showing and vendors that are worthy of our city of Atlanta, given what our city is accommodated to and used to from Malcolm X and Juneteenth. So both, great event. Malcolm X, African Liberation Day. I think we did a great job. As Sister Ebony said, showing that unity, working together. But again, we have to keep working. And from my position, one of the things that I'm seeing is I don't even necessarily like the word recruitment. I do like the word activating our membership though, because it's like a family member that's gone astray. You're not recruiting them back into the family, but you are, bringing them back into the family. But basically my point is we've got to get our people in, and we've got to do a better job of finding ways to get them involved, basically. And from our officers, one of the things that I need from our officers, in order for us to fill these offices, because right now we've got a large membership, a small leadership, and a lot of our people that are not doing much, other than paying their dues. So we need to make it clear on how they can contribute their skills, talents, intelligence, as Ross Marvin says, and their finances under one of these offices. So we need to make it clear on what we're doing within our offices and where we need help. But that's what I see, where I think we're doing a great job with the team that we have, being able to execute how we are executing. I think we're doing a great job. I don't want us to bite off more than we can chew. But I do agree with Attorney Imhotep, as well as, let me see, Mama Amina has mentioned, us doing more events and attending more events. I think it's possible, but we're not gonna wear ourselves out at the same time. We need more people to chip in. Leadership has to provide that. Any other questions, comments before we go to member share? Okay. All right, well, thank you everyone for being patient. At this time, we will jump over to member share. Brothers, we know that we need to be good listeners, so we allow our sisters to go first. I like to work from a position of leadership if possible. Look like Sister Tania dropped off. Sister Ebony, Second Lady Vice President, you are our highest ranking sister on the call.
Peace, family, race first. I don't really have much to report at the moment. Just going forward with the events and things of this year. We'll just have to get back to, the membership on that, in full detail. But I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year, and all what we have planned. Like I said earlier, just make sure that, as much as you can, know life and everything in it, we all have our own differences. But, as much as you can to these events, try to make your presence, make the UNIA known for its presence. It's a really good time. It's a really great space to be in, to attend these events and things like that. And it's good to show up in numbers, it's a saying, like, it's power in numbers. So just be mindful to do your best to help show your support and be around more, so we can continue this mission and we can continue to uplift and liberate our Black people. And that's all I got for now. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Second Lady Vice President. It reminds me, when I was talking with Mama Amina last meeting, I think we had discussed, we were talking about trying to get our sisters together. And we set next Saturday as a planning meeting, not the meeting where the sisters were going to get together, but a planning meeting for the sisters. You're not in communication with Mama Amina, though, are you?
I have her information.
She has supposedly, from what I understand, she's in California right now. But I was trying to find out from your standpoint, we just talking about events and balancing ourselves. Did that seem feasible to you to try to get some sisters in leadership together next Saturday?
Yeah, actually, before the mass meeting started, I was in another Zoom meeting, and it was a women's meeting. So I can definitely touch back through those communications and see if they are available for that meeting, if they are a part of the UNIA. You sent me a flyer and I attended that meeting. So I can always reach out to those ladies and see if they're available for that.
You said I sent you a flyer and you went to the meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
It was a Women's Day meeting. It was I didn't stay on the call long. It was because it started at 4.
Women's Day.
It was hold on one second, I'll tell you. It was a Salute Women of Excellence virtual Zoom meeting, the Universal Negro Improvement Association. That was Division 429.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's good. Well, what I'm talking about here is more so local. Trying to get our local sisters in leadership. Mama Mina, maybe Sister Tania. I know she's in Dallas, but at least in a discussion. Yourself, my wife, Mama Sister Aziza mentioned she would be able to help as well. But getting our sisters together to at least start discussing the planning for the actual sisters meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, because that's all I was thinking about. We don't have many sisters, but yeah, for the handful that we do have, if they are available, absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll leave it for what time of day do you think? Morning, noon, afternoon?
Honestly, just touch bases with Sister Erica and see what time she will be available. I could touch bases with Mama Mina and see what time she'll be available. I know that you have a couple of more other sisters. I know it's another sister who just recently joined. I know she sounded real energized about participating. We could reach out to her, but if possible, I don't know how the system is, the communication system is set up. If you have like women and males or whatever, but if you can, just send out a mass email to them, let them know that we'll be having something. But definitely check in with Sister Erica, and I'll check in with Mama Mina, and then I guess we'll just touch it back like on Tuesday or something.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sister Ryabney.
Race first.
Race first. Next, Sister. You had a question, Baba James?
I was curious as to whether or not she has access to the member list for the women.
I don't. I go through President John.
Hold on. Hold on. You might.
Actually, I think I do. I think he did send out something like that in communications, but ultimately I go through President John.
Hold on. Okay. So there's a vision for 21. Macy, Sister Emily, you should have our sister's information.
I do. Thank you.
As Second Lady Vice President, at this point, I do trust you. That's the reason why I gave you that database. Last year, even if you were in a higher position, a first assistant vice president, I wouldn't give you that information. But I want our officers at some point to have a level of autonomy. As long as we're doing things, we're not doing things malicious or crazy. I trust, I trust y'all with this information at this point. If you need any additional assistance, then I'm here, but I don't want, I don't want to hold y'all back.
I say that because it's just more of a confirmation for, the division. I don't want to just be moving and, or anyone should just be moving and just, making decisions or just doing anything. I check back with, our officers, just to make sure everybody's on board, everybody's on the same page, and that we can all, agree to, whatever's going forward.
Yes, ma'am. I got you. Okay. Thank you, Sister Ebony.
Race first.
Any other questions for our Second Lady Vice President? Okay. All right. Looks like we have another sister on the line. I want to bring in Sister Nashanta. Greetings, Sister Nashanta.
Greetings, Race First. I didn't have anything to say. I'm here listening and I'm available for any meeting that you guys want me to. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. All right,
and I'm Ifanigi. I just ended up putting that name in.
Okay.
I'm Ifanigi.
I got you. Give me 1 second. Sister Ebony, if you could put or write down, keep a note on member number 368. Sister Ifani is member number 368.
Okay.
All right. Were there any other sisters on the line before we move to our brothers? Any other sisters?
Yes, Brother President John. Yes, I really want Sister Ashley to get my telephone number so that I can be a part of trying to get the sisters together. And I will be more than happy to, donate food for this meeting, just to get us organized and let it be a joyous time, as well as just getting our sisters united. So I want my phone number given to her so that she can reach out to me. I am available. Race first.
Race first.
Race first. Thank you, sister. I definitely will reach out to you by Tuesday.
Great, thank you.
She is member number 284. Thank you, Sister Aziza. And that kind of brings back the balance that we have to have as brothers and sisters, especially in leadership. But when it comes to the sisters, the brothers are going to be pretty much hands off. We will provide, protection and provision, and things like that. But it is not our place to provide or to give direction. Our sisters are self-reliant. And, as I said, as brothers, we are here to provide any assistance, but I do not feel comfortable with having our brothers lead the organizing of our sisters. All right. With that, we'll keep it moving. We'll move over to our brothers. Looks like we lost one of our brothers earlier, but I can't change. So I'll go to our first vice president, member number 390, Brother Omasius. Greetings, Brother Omasius. Brother Omasius, you there? Okay, we'll come back to Brother Omasius. Jump over to our, I'll go to jump to our Colonel, African Legion Colonel Baba James. Greetings, Baba James.
Race first, family.
Race first.
I have requests for members of the Universal African Legion to get in contact with me. I'm going to need to do some question answers in regards to size. We're still going to need to know what type of shoe we're going to wear, and we'd like some input other than myself and President John. We can also use some help with organization of the gardens over at the Ominala. Brother Cornelius has offered to offer his time on Saturday mornings. That is a follow-up from the last time we spoke on this. The official flyer is coming soon. We expected to host something in the mornings for Saturday. And again, any member of the UNIA who has an interest in the gardens and or the property as far as the maintenance is concerned has an open invitation to participate. Other than that, I think I'm full. Race first.
Race first. Any questions for Baba James? No questions for African Legion. Thank you, Baba James.
Race first.
Race first. We jump over to our division treasurer, member number 2, President Ross Marvin. Greetings, Ross Marvin. Ross Marvin, you there? Greetings.
For that video on African Liberation Day, and Sister Ifani, she definitely won a position, so hopefully she can get one real soon. And I was just listening, greetings to the family, and I didn't have much to say other than greetings.
Thank you, President Ross Marvin. Sister Ifani, let me take a step back. Well, I guess I could. Are you still in, where did I have you? I think I had you in Marietta. Are you in Atlanta or?
I'm in Marietta. Yeah, that's my PO box.
Okay. So you still in it? You still in Marietta?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been, okay. We may need you to step up as a lady president. We need help on our office of lady presidents. Sister Ifaniyi.
I can't talk.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm just saying, I'm lost for words.
Ah. Okay, give it some thought. You've been around. I've seen your name, even though it changes a little bit. I've seen you here for, I want to say, years. So I'm just making that official request and that official recommendation. So the ball is in your court, but we do need your support.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Next officer I want to bring in, Legal Defense Committee Coordinator, Attorney Imhotep.
Yes, greetings, Africans.
Greetings.
Just a couple of things. One, the Democratic leader in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries, yes, he is the nephew of Dr. Leonard Jeffries.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, and at an ASCAT convention we had a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Jeffries was there and mentioned that fact. And yeah, I was surprised too. And he was saying, Dr. Jeffries was saying how as a young student that he took, well, Hakeem Jeffries was taken through the African scouts, so to speak, was brought up in the Pan-African mold there. So yeah, I was surprised to hear that. And I had heard some not so flattering things about Hakeem Jeffries' leadership thoughts, but knowing that was Dr. Leonard Jeffries' nephew, thinking there's some hope there for us. So I just wanted to let us all know that. Also, again, this orientation class that I attended yesterday was very, very good. And again, I'm looking forward to next Saturday. And the material that they passed out for the class, it was also very good. Dr. Amos Wilson, they're saying that he was inspired by Garvey very much so. So I'm going to have to check him out, more of his lectures on YouTube. Yeah, yes, he was very much inspired by.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Dr. Garvey. I didn't know that, so I need to really see what he's about. In the material that they passed out yesterday, one was by Dr. Amos Wilson, and he talks about the 7 constants. And basically, it's how Europeans are in control of the world. And there's always 7 constants that will never change, no matter that there are supposedly things called, changes being made. But always these changes are made such that the 7 constants will always be the same. Yes, so I would encourage everyone who can to attend these sessions. And I'm looking forward, as I said, to next Saturday's session. And Aziza said, yes, she is too. And just let me read briefly here what the 7 constants are per Dr. Amos Wilson. 1, the military differential, enormous, overwhelming military power. 2, the economic differential. 3, to maintain the technological differential. 4, the European intention to maintain the power of definition, defining to define everything by their definition. Number 5 is control of information. 6, he intends to maintain control over the domain of discourse. And 7, degradation of things African. So again, I would encourage everyone to attend. And I was noticing how many of the other divisions were in attendance. Okay, and we need to, I guess, have more Division 421 members attend. It's worthwhile, and there's a lot to learn. So that's it. Thank you. Race First.
Race First. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. And I take that as Counsel General, as Attorney Imhotep being Counsel General, I'll take that as a directive that all members of Division 421 have an obligation to attend orientation. That means that I got to get everybody the email though. So those that don't have it, obviously you can't. The document that Attorney Imhotep was reading from, I found it and I'm able to share it, but these are one of the things that we went over in the UNIA parent body orientation. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. I actually need to save this. Any questions for Attorney Imhotep before we proceed? Okay. All right.
One other thing, President John. Yeah. I can be referred to just as Brother Imhotep or Brother Keebalan, as opposed to any title or anything. That'll be fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Imhotep. Well, one of the things, I'm going to keep calling you Attorney Imhotep. I may even call you Counsel General Imhotep. One of the things that I feel that Garvey teaches us is that he teaches constant development. But one of those aspects of development is governance. And governance is something that is done through titles. So it's not John Hargrove, giving his opinion. It's the president of Division 421 giving their opinion. So it's two things. One, I need us as officers to be more comfortable with that. And that's why I put myself on the Zoom as President John. We as officers need to be more comfortable with that. But also our membership needs to be comfortable with people that look like them being in these positions. And as we interact with each other, especially in these meetings, our meetings should be somewhat formal. We should have formal interactions. That's why I refer to Sister Ebony, Second Lady Vice President, First Vice President Brother Omasius, our Treasurer, President Ross Marvin. I understand what you're saying, and I agree. You are my brother. But in this setting, I want us to stand in the positions and the roles that we've accepted and carry out these roles even if it's only for 3 hours on a Sunday, let's stand in it. We'll do that presentation, and those that are watching, they have something to take away, and those that watch it later on YouTube, hopefully they have a increased level of respect over what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and the legacy that we're trying to honor through Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the UNIA. So I hear what you're saying, but from a official formal standpoint, and when we do, you got, like when we did HEC, and you were there, everyone at that meeting, we have official titles, First Assistant President General, Second Assistant President General, High Commissioner, Minister of Information. There is some back and forth, where we go, Brother Raymond, Brother Marua. But I think I like that aspect of, having these official titles and using these official titles in our official meetings.
Yes, President John, if I may.
Yes, President Ross Marvin.
You had asked if anyone had questions for Council General Imhotep.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did have a question. Greetings, Council General. How you doing?
Greetings, Africans. Good to hear from you.
Yes, congratulations on your reappointment.
Yes, all in the interest of the race. Yes.
Yes, I know you've just been reappointed for just since HEC, and I wanted to know if you could update us on any current legal actions that's happening with our parent body, because I remember last time President General was in court in Philadelphia, and I heard that he won the case. But is there anything currently happening now on the legal side with our government?
No, not anything other than the President General is concerned about the international headquarters there in Philadelphia. He's still trying to decide what's the best way to protect it against any future challenges as to ownership. And I was again tasked to determine what's the best way to secure the office, the building against any future challenges. And again, as I had requested the last time I was in office, I'm trying to get a copy of the deed, the present deed of the building, and also one of the past deeds where there was a deed of trust. There were 3 trustees who were appointed to be trustees of the building. I'd like to see that, one of those old deeds. And that's what I'm considering recommending again, that the Council General appoint at least 3 trustees for the building. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now. I still haven't received the requested documents. The Secretary General did put out a reminder. We're trying to obtain those for my review, and so that I can make a recommendation as to how we should go forward. And so basically that's where we're at. But fortunately, there are no new challenges, legal challenges that are outstanding. And we just hope to protect ourselves and to be aware for any challenges that may come in the future.
Thank you so much, Consul General.
Thank you, Secretary Ross Marvin. Again,
Race first, Dr. Roots from New York.
yes,
Dr. Roots, 1 second.
it's just always good to hear from you, Brother Ross Marvin, and look forward to your counsel in the future, and wishing you the best of health also.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Roots, you had a comment?
Yes. I carefully listened to our brother, our legal mind, when he spoke about Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes, sir.
I have a serious objection to Hakeem Jeffries and Gregory Meeks. I've lived in New York for 20 years. I currently live in in Brooklyn and Manhattan, in Staten Island. I got properties in good places. But the key point is that, you see, I've had the privilege in my lifetime, 51-year-old, to spend my time reading about the life of Honorable Gavitt from high school up to Nkrumah and all of our heroes who came before us. The unfortunate thing about Black America is that Africans who chose the path of true African liberation, they were not regarded by the mainstream. I would say, Brother Malcolm X, where is the monument of Brother Malcolm X at the National Mall? But you have Martin Luther King there. Where is the monument of Brother Elijah Muhammad at the National Mall? They are not there. They will not put it there. It seems that Hakeem Jeffries and Gregory Meeks, quite recently, I was talking with Gregory Meeks. When the Ukraine war started, they provoked war against Russia by NATO against Russia, using Ukraine as a puppet state. They waged a massive media campaign against Russia, ban all Russian media, all things Russia. The very people that talk about democracy. The same Gregory Meeks, he came up with a stupid bill called Countering Russian malign activities in Africa. In that bill, Gregory Meeks wrote that any African country that does business with Russia should be sanctioned. Thank God for South Africa. That stupid bill was laid to rest. The same Hakeem Jeffries and Gregory Meeks voted for the destruction of Libya. Okay, a Black man. When I look at America, it marvels me so much, Black America, because every negative things in this country, the white man, the fake Jew, George Soros, and the so-called groups use Black men to do the dirty work for them. When they got ready to destroy Libya, they used a Black man, Barack Obama. When they got ready to bring civil war in this country, they used another Black man, Avi Bread, to indict Trump. When they got ready to destroy Africa, another Black man, Gregory Meeks, wrote the bill. Hakeem Jeffries is a leader in the Democratic Party. And he was a true Pan-Africanist. In 2011, they were bound together that they choose do for Israel to prevent the destruction of Libya. Consequently, thousands of Africans have died, Sub-Saharan Africans have died as a result of what they did in Libya. Today, the whole Sahel region of Africa is on fire. Today in Africa, we are opposing the West in Africa, particularly the French and the British. So when you bring out a picture of Hakeem Jeffries
and show him as a black leader. To me, I found him as an enemy of black people, to be honest with you. The black Americans in the Democratic Party, they do not represent black people. They don't care about black people. The policies they represent, they are gay, LGBT, they present is totally against the black race. They are the policy of feminizing black men, trying to feminizing black men is against Pan-Africanism. When you invert and you because in the African tradition, whether in Africa or in the West, a man should be a strong man who governs his home. When you have a society where a man becomes the follower and made a woman the leader, then you invert that society. And that's what's happening. When you jail all the black men and you have the children to grow up without the men in the home, you destroy the black race. And that's what I have done to the society. Lastly, before I leave, another thing that really makes me really encourage me so often as watch black men in this country. When a black kills another black, that's not a problem. It's cool for a brother to kill another brother. But when a cop kills a black man, then it's an issue to come up with huge protests. Black Lives Matter. Why is that? So for me personally, I saw that from Africa. I knew that the same scheme they use in Africa, they make us to kill each other and they pull us against each other. And the same thing here. If the Democratic Party really cares about Africa, they will vote in unison. Zimbabwe, for example, they had no one know. I was telling another black guy the last time, Mugabe. After the liberation in Rhodesia against the British bastards, they had a Lancaster House agreement. What was in the agreement? The West, they agreed to buy the land transferred after 10 years of the ZANU-PF group. They reneged on it. After 20 years, they reneged on it. Over 20 years, Mugabe took law in his own hand and decided to confiscate the land. From Brussels to Washington, all the black politicians voted to sanction Zimbabwe, and they had a puppet they called Morgan Shangara harassing Mugabe. His history is important. Mugabe told us, a man without the knowledge of his past is like a tree without a root. So here is my proposal to black men this country. Go back to the fundamental of history. Okay, go to the history. The same way they lied to us, the Ukraine nonsense, unprovoked. We know 2014, they wanted Ukraine to overthrow our government and replace it with NATO puppet. We know that after the Cold War, they promised Russia not to move to the east. We know all of this. How come they tell us today that the war was provoked? It was unprovoked. So the white man used media to fool us, to gaslight, to project, and we accept it. The good news is that the same tactics they use against us in Africa, they are using the same tactics against Trump. Everything they do with Trump, that's why they do the African leaders. When they don't like you, they gaslight you. They demonize you. Everything you say, white supremacists. That's what they do here. Oh, when I see what happened to Trump, the same thing they do to African leaders everywhere in Africa. When they don't like you, they call you by the first name. Oh, Putin. They never say Mr. President. The stupid fool the guy in Ukraine, President Zelensky. So, gentlemen, until we become very serious, we return to the fundamental. These puppets, the Democratic people have and the heads of black people, they are not my leader. They shouldn't be your leader. We should hold them accountable for the death of Baraka. Until we begin to hold these guys accountable, we ain't going nowhere. I rest.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Roots. Yes, we have a lot of work to do locally as well as on the continent. The fundamental thing that we have to do is organize. We appreciate you being here for years and providing that on the ground insight as well as insight from the continent. Thank you, Dr. Roots. I think we only have a few other brothers that did not get a chance to share yet. Well, actually, we got about 3 or 4. Want to bring in our youth coordinator, Brother James. Greetings, Brother James.
Greetings, family, right first.
Right first.
So right now, me and Brother Ken Wardo, we're going to be putting together the book club. We aiming for the end of the summer to get that going, so to make sure we got our bases covered. As we get it formatted, as we get it, more concrete and the plan set in stone, we definitely gonna need some sisters involved. And so if there are any in the organization, we like that. But we'll be looking outside of that if we can't find any there. But we're just trying to get that going. I've been trying to swirl around some ideas possibly to implement for Garvey Day. Things that shouldn't really cost anything, but just to make it more inviting and friendly for the youth as we promote the event and everything like that. But that's really where we are as far as the youth goes. Myself and Brother Ken Wardo, we're just trying to get that squared away. He's offered to host the book club at his place, and like I said, like we talked about in the previous meetings, that'd be a good way to kind of ingratiate the youth into what the UNIA is about, and introducing them to Marcus Garvey and some of his concepts that are on an adolescent level. So that's pretty much where we stand as far as that goes. That's pretty much all I have, Brother John.
Thank you, Brother James. Yes, as I said, we were supposed to meet Thursday. We will meet. We'll have a discussion this coming Thursday to put some more details on the youth program. In regards to Garvey Day, now that African Liberation Day is over, I think we need to start having discussions with the Shrine of the Black Madonna as early as next weekend, to start having regular pulsing meetings. They usually have their meetings Saturday or Sunday. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, early afternoon around 11 o'clock. Executive officers, Brother James, I probably want you on, if you could, helping on that committee. Baba James, of course. Brother Macias, if you will be here for Garvey Day, I would need your help. Sister Ra Ebony, I would need your help as well. But be on the lookout for that Garvey Day planning starting as early as next weekend.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be available for that. I'll be able to make myself available for that. And I had mentioned something to you some months back about a speaker. I'll talk to you about that offline. Yeah, well, I looked into it, and they want me to check back the 1st of June, so that'll be Thursday. So Thursday, I should have some information regarding that.
Let me know. From what I heard, the brother kind of booked up already for that time of year. But just let me know what you hear. A backup that I'm looking at is Baba Mukasa Ricks. I don't know if you know him.
I'm not familiar, but
he's an elder in the community, but he's a contemporary of Martin Luther King. Like he did work with King and Stokely Carmichael.
Okay. That'd be good. Well, yeah, I'll let you know what I hear. Hopefully, we get some traction somewhere.
I got you. I think the key thing for us as far as that is going to be our availability Saturday mornings. So once we start having discussions with the shrine, that's when I'll need everybody, to give input and let me know what portion of the program or agenda everybody can take care of. All right. Thank you, Brother James. Next, oh man, he jumped off, didn't he? Oh man, Brother Andrew. Oh no, he didn't. There you go. Next member I want to bring in, Brother Andrew. But the art dropped off, I guess. Yeah. Brother Andrew, you there? Okay, Brother Andrew, not here.
Hello, greetings.
Greetings, Brother Andrew. How you doing?
Not too bad. Doing pretty good.
You have anything
Greetings,
that you want to
family.
share with the family?
No, didn't have anything much to share. Just listening. But no, not much to share. Appreciate it, and let's see. I just apologize about missing the African Liberation Day, but I had some previous appointments and so. But much respect, and I'm here to help as best as I can. Now,
Thank you, Brother Andrew.
you're welcome, man. You're welcome.
One other, we had a brother that's been waiting patiently. Dr. Shams. Greetings, Dr. Shams. Are you there?
Raise first.
Raise first.
Yes. I don't know where to start. I mean, it sounds great that we're being proactive and productive. That's the first thing I want to say. I can appreciate everybody's effort, including especially yours, Brother John. Yeah. And well, I like talk about my website. Someone gave me a compliment, said it was awesome. That was Brother Nat who told me that. Brother Nat went to my website, he checked it out, and he said it was awesome. That's good. That's a good compliment there. Pertaining to all the work that I put into it for our benefit.
Yes,
Yeah, and also still, if anybody wants to do anything during the week, I have chat service online too. All they require is your email address. That's all I know they require. Your email address, and the chat is open. I even have my phone numbers there. Right now, my phone numbers are in the chat also. But for those who are on the phone lines and cannot see the Zoom, my phone numbers are 1-917-500-1699. That's 1-917-500-1699. My landline, which I have off most of the time because of medical scammers where their HMOs are always bothering me. I mean, you can only have but one, they say, but I'm always getting scam calls on that other line, and that line is 1718-373-2680. That's 1718-373-2680. Also, the address of my website, I want to leave that there too for those who may not have it due to overlooking the information that's in it or searching elsewhere for information. When we should consult each other if we're truly networking and we need information, we should be able to ask one another before we go anyplace else, because we know we have our people's interests at heart. We have each other's interests at heart as well. My internet address is not helpful USA legislations people.bravesites.com. That's not helpful USA legislations, people.bravesites.com. Peace and race first. Thank you very much. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Was there anyone that did not get a chance to share? Okay. Well, just in closing, we will meet again on the 11th of June. That'll be our first mass meeting of the month of June. The 10th of June, you may get a text message just to commemorate the transition of Garvey, June 10th, 1940. But yeah, just a heads up as to what's coming. Juneteenth, it'll be June 17th here in Atlanta. We'll have a Juneteenth parade. And then in July, we're talking about a Black Family Day in July. That'll be hosted by the Nation of Islam. We had a meeting today, myself, UNIA, Nation of Islam, Moorish Science Temple were there. But looking at having a 5-hour outdoor event for the community on the south side of Atlanta. More details for that as it comes out. But yeah, we got a president's call next Wednesday. So during our June 11th meeting, that'll be my update. And we'll be getting together. Let's see. I don't think I got it on the calendar. We need to get together on the 1st. That'll be our business meeting. So the 1st and the 8th, we should have business meetings to have some updates from our officers on business as well as the youth program. So that's all I have. Anybody have any questions or comments before we move to close? Last call.
Race first. Race first. Yes, Brother John. My niece, she wants to come on the calls. I don't have her email address. So offline, I'm going to have to give you her phone number so she could be added to the list of contacts for this conference call. You know?
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I think you sent me her information. Okay, I gotta add her to our friends database. We only right now the database that I sent this to went to our members, but we do have another database for those that are not officially signed up.
Okay.
But
race first.
Yes, sir. Race first. We'll take care of that this week and try to make sure she gets an invite for the next meeting. Anyone else?
Okay, thanks a lot, Brother John. Race first.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Any other closing comments? Okay. Thank you, everyone. And if, just a call to make sure everybody's paying their dues. Most of us are. If you're not, Cashapp UNIA-421 fund and paypal.me/UNIA-421. So we appreciate everyone's input and everyone's participation. And if you would, please come off mute and we'll close out with the motto of the UNIA. One God.
One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One
destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
And those abroad.
Race first, family. Go in peace.
Race first.
Race first.
Race first. Peace and blessings. Race first.